Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a beautiful autumn day in Berlin. And we're so pleased to welcome you all to the first session of our Black Friday, Cyber Monday 2025 extravaganza webinar workshop. Yeah, so excited to have you all here. Hope you're doing well. We'll kind of give a few minutes for people to come in and join, but would love to see in the chat if you have a favorite emoji or just how you're feeling today. Feel free to send that and let us know. It's a good way to also get used to using the chat to ask questions, which we hope you will. You can ask those in the chat and just set your response to hosts and panelists so that everyone can see your question, and then we will get to those at the end. Yeah, very excited for today. It's going to be a great session. It's going to have about, I think, 35 to 45 minutes of content, and then we'll have some room for questions at the end. We're going to be going over how Black Friday went for some of our clients last year, hearing from some people from our team, very exciting, and then going over some strategies and things that you can use this year to make Black Week an amazing success. So to get started there, I think we have some more people trickling in, but we can go to the next slide and I can introduce the speakers here. Obviously, you know me, I'm Ben Barnhart here with Charles, the Senior Product Marketing Manager. And I'm very happy today to be joined by Elisa and Sophia. Elisa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Super nice that you're all joining this morning. I'm Elisa. I'm part of the customer success management team here, taking care of our larger clients, the enterprise segment. And I'm super happy to have my dear colleague Sophia with me on board. Handing over to you, Sophia.
Thank you, Elisa, and also good morning from my side. I'm Sophia Lacimo, also part of the customer success team at Charles, and super excited and happy that we see the room being full with people. And yes, to share you today some of our learnings and best practice for this year's Black Friday's activations.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much. We can go to the next slide here. And yeah, it's only 50 days to go before Black Friday. So it's time to get those strategies in, start making those plans, and yeah, planning those campaigns for what Black Friday and Cyber Monday are going to be. Very exciting. Yeah, I briefly just wanted to go over kind of some numbers that we saw from last year and what we've been seeing, why Black Friday and Cyber Monday matters a lot to your customers. We've seen that 50% of customers say that consistent value or good deals actually keep them loyal. 24% of customers will actively wait for discounts before they purchase. And 35% of customers convert when they're offered discounted items that they viewed multiple times. And now I think all of these kind of add up to the fact that it's worth it to invest the time and effort into having a really good campaign and plan for Black Friday. You could really see some amazing results, more than almost any other holiday season. Yeah, very exciting. But to get a bit more into the numbers from last year of what we heard from our clients, I will pass it over to Sophia.
Thank you, Ben, and super happy to jump straight into it because if I look at the numbers from last year, I'm actually getting very, very excited for this year because, yes, to give you some revenue numbers that we actually have generated together with our clients, and maybe some of you are today here in the call and know the deal from last year as well. But yes, overall, we have generated together with our clients 21.6 million in revenue that was attributed to WhatsApp. And this number, I think, speaks for itself when we consider that we were actually last year able to double the revenue attributed to WhatsApp compared to the previous year. And I think I speak for the entire Charles team that we're super excited for this year and hope to double this number as well this year. Then another metrics that stood out for us and again proves the power and impact of Black Friday campaigns is the revenue per recipient. because also here we saw that during the Black Friday period, the revenue per recipient was 34% higher than our long-term average revenue per recipient. And our long-term average revenue per recipient across all industries normally lies at 2.29 euros. And within the period of Black Friday, as I said, we increased that one to 3.07 euros. Yes, just proving again that actually those activations that we do with you as a client and yes, all our client base are super powerful also in terms of revenue that you generate. A third metric that I would like to point out within the scope of revenue actually is the return on ad spend, our ROAS, that we calculate based on the meta cost that we have for any marketing templates or utility templates. These are meta fees that probably already are familiar to you that, yes, we always have to consider when we also make the revenue. But even that one was super strong with a 28x ROAS. And yes, just proves again the impact and power that you can have with the Black Friday campaigns and the revenue that you can make out of it. I do not only want to bother you with the revenue numbers, but also actually look at the operational KPIs that we saw from a child's perspective. And here it was, I think, crazy to see that within the entire Black Friday period last year, we actually sent out 7 million conversations. And I think for those of the Charles team that were there on an operational base, it's definitely also our peak season and always super fun to be part of that buzzing time of the year, also being one of the busiest moments for us as a company. And yes, facilitating 7 million conversations for our clients actually, yes, has drove the impact that you previously saw with the revenue numbers. But also from a client perspective, has generated 160,000 orders just from WhatsApp. And I think this number also is crazy considering that we will also work with different industries. And yes, consumers always have to be convinced to purchase something. And just by looking at this number, 160,000 orders just from WhatsApp. Yes, definitely also is a crazy number that stands out here and that we are looking and even maybe duplicating for this year's Black Friday campaigns. And then lastly, obviously, these numbers are not possible without a subscriber base that definitely forms the foundation for these strong numbers. And already last year, we saw that a lot of our clients prepare for Black Friday super early because in the end, we need to have a subscribed audience that we can engage within Black Friday. And here we saw that within last year's Black Friday period, we actually have generated 470,000 new subscribers across all our clients. And also that was actually 50% more of new subscribers compared to the previous Black Friday activation, saying in the year 2023. Yes, I think these are all strong numbers, and I guess we as a Charles team, also together with our existing clients, are super excited for this period to see those numbers even increase more and to drive the impact and revenue that you as a brand are seeking to see. I do want to also point out actually what is changing this year because we all know that we live in an ever-evolving world. Things are changing fast, and the year 2025 has, I think, been the strongest year when it comes to AI. And we do observe actually that 54% of consumers plan to also use AI tools to find the right deals, reviews, and gift ideas. And that's a trend that we definitely also need to consider when we plan for this year's Black Friday activation. In addition to that, also already in last year, we observed that holiday shopping actually starts earlier than Black Friday, saying we do not only have to consider Black Week, but also already everything that is happening at the beginning of November and even end of October, because we know for a fact that 24% of consumers actually begin planning for Black Friday before Black Week. And if you look at the Gen Z generation, here it's even 30% that start planning before the Black Week. So starting to create the buzz already early enough is definitely crucial for a successful Black Friday campaign and activation. Moving on to the channels that we actually can use for Black Friday campaigns. Here we also saw that the trend of consumers actually is going to an omni-channel approach, saying 77% of shoppers use more than 3 channels to find their best deal and to do a purchase. This again proves as well the hypothesis of having a multi-channel approach and not only, for example, focusing on a purely email approach, but also consider other 2 strong channels that are growing super fast. One of them being WhatsApp, where we are the experts, but also SMS being a very strong channel here, followed by other channels such as Facebook and Instagram. And then lastly, we also saw that actually the consumer behavior and consciousness is changing. And therefore, we have a slow gifting trend, saying that consumers actually plan wisely and try to have more meaningful purchases, saying that their decision making eventually takes longer and is more cautiously. And therefore, we also see WhatsApp as a channel, as an experience, rather than just sending out deals and highlighting promotions. And that's something, yes, where we also encourage you as a brand to actually consider this experience approach, because in the end, we need to try to stand out within the loud, buzzy time of Black Friday. And this can be achieved through a full-on, full funnel messaging experience within WhatsApp or any other channel. And yes, in a second step, considering all these changes, obviously, we also want to tell you how Charles can actually help you on that. Normally, when we look at the full messaging journey across WhatsApp or also other messaging channels, we always see customers going through the 4 steps. These would be attract, convert, serve, and retain. And I already have mentioned that within the attract phase, especially in preparation for Black Friday, it is super important that we have entry points in order to grow our subscriber base and start building that meaningful audience that we then can leverage within the Black Friday activations. Looking at the numbers from the past with the 470,000 new subscriber generated for the period last year, this also will be today's focus, that we show you our best practices on the entry points that you can leverage in order to grow your subscriber base. Within the convert phase, we see that personalization actually matters. And here, through the power of AI, we are able to collect also zero-party data and also leverage personalization through promotional campaigns and an abandoned cart shopping experience. Personalization goes very, very close in hand with serving your customers and thinking about a service approach. And here again, through the power of AI, Charles actually got you covered by recognizing what a consumer actually is looking for within a conversational experience. Saying within a conversational experience on WhatsApp, Charles is able to recognize the intent why a user is within the conversation. And this not only creates a great service experience for your consumers, but also will increase your Net Promoter Score, leading me to the 4th step of the full messaging journey, retain. Here, it is super beneficial if we think that you have a strong customer base that benefits from a strong entry point, from a strong personalization and a service-oriented conversation, then leading them actually to help you even grow that audience more by, for example, referring your friends, or through the power of AI also being considered for any upsell opportunities. And yeah, all these different strategies and use cases that we see along the full messaging journey we actually would like to deep dive in a second step, yes, with some best practices that we have applied not only for Black Friday, but actually through our general approach at Charles. But obviously, these points become super important when we think about Black Friday.
All right, then I guess I'm taking over here. Thank you, Sophia, for showing us so many interesting numbers and facts already. And now let's buckle up and dive a bit deeper into how that can actually look in practice. And for that, as Sophia already mentioned, let's dive a bit into the entry points that you can possibly have when we're thinking about our upcoming Black Friday. And let's start with your own social media. This is one of the most organic channels you can have because you already have the audience. So this is something that you can already leverage without attracting any further people. So if we look at social media, how could that work? It could be by posting in your feed, but also could be posting in your stories, directly linking to your WhatsApp channel. So a super organic way to show what deals you're having for Black Friday and at the same time growing your subscriber base. And we've seen this, as Sophia mentioned already, especially the younger generation. And I mean, we all are on social media. So that could be Facebook, that could be Instagram, but that could also be TikTok, for example. So we cannot ignore the fact that social media is one of the main channels where our audience basically looks for deals. We're sending stories to our friends, hey, look, there's a deal. So this is something that we can easily leverage, and you as a brand can easily leverage. Just make sure you're having the most important facts also within your story, also making sure you're showing them, hey, you're being redirected to WhatsApp, for example, just to make sure we keep our leads in the loop and we don't lose them along the way. So one of the most organic and easy channels you can use for the upcoming Black Friday deals. At the same time, and I think that goes hand in hand with social media, is content creators. And I think this is super important to acknowledge that we all love to be influenced by our friends, but we also love to be influenced by people on social media, and especially in Instagram or TikTok, this has become a major driver. So also if you're maybe already working with content creators, that's a super interesting point to leverage also during Black Friday. Could be also a bit more gamified, right? You can do some ruffles in the comments, for example, or having just some nice gamification experience along with that. So some nice way also to place your products, to show them how to use them, for example. So a really, really nice way to have a bit more personal touch also to your brand, because it's something that we're also seeing from customers. They really want to have that personal touch to a brand. And especially we heard there's such a buzz around Black Friday. So it's really important to stand out and having that kind of personal feeling that also keeps your customers loyal to your brand. What we're also seeing, and I also brought some examples here from last year, is we call it click to chat X. So it could be ads on Instagram, on Facebook, but also in your story posts, like the sponsored content, where you can also define your audience, maybe the existing one, but also a likewise audience, right? So attracting new customers into your funnel, they can easily sign up and being redirected to WhatsApp. And then you have like the seamless experience on seeing as you see here also, for example, for Blackroll, like seeing what are the deals, and then you can directly have them in your funnel, grow your subscriber base at the same time. And like also here, as you see it for Blackroll, right? They're really starting the buzz around having some secret deals, only short term, creating that urgency, and maybe also having that kind of exclusive feeling like this is maybe only on WhatsApp. So really creating that sense of I want to sign up and I want to find out what could be the secret deal, or I want to get that additional 5%, for example. So also something where we can support you with. We have quite a lot of experience with those CTX ads. So if this is interesting for you, always feel free to approach us and we're happy to help on that. And now when we go through the journey, we already talked about, we're seeing the different stages within a customer journey. So we already looked at the attract stage. And now I would like to dive a bit deeper into the convert stage, because it's not only about attracting new subscribers to your channel, it's really also about converting them. And what should not be underestimated is the power of automations. And that could be, for example, having abandoned cart or checkout items. So especially abandoned cart is super powerful if you're using Shopify, if you're using Klaviyo. It's also natively integrated with us. And you can also check if you want to send out an email first, send out a WhatsApp message as a second step. That's totally up to you. It can all be included in your processes. And especially with Black Friday, we see a lot of people searching on different websites, searching for different deals. They might leave your channel and then look for something else. And this is always a really, really nice option to bring customers back and recover lost sales. And as I mentioned, especially if you're using Shopify and or Klaviyo, doesn't matter which one, if you're using both or just single ones, it's super easy to integrate. But also for like everything that's post-purchase, order confirmation, shipping updates, especially during Black Friday when we might be shopping a lot, me included. It's always nice to have some options on WhatsApp, having it next to your friends where you know, okay, cool, my order is on the way, or it's confirmed, everything is working out. And that's also the perfect point where you can later on convert them to your funnel. So it's not just about order confirmation or shipping updates, you can also convert them then directly to your channel and later on target them again with possible campaigns. So this is really, really nice. And this is also the perfect time now. If you haven't set up your automations, to do it now, it gives you enough time to test it, gives us enough time to support you if you need anything or any help from our side to have everything ready before the big bust starts. Talking about campaigns, that also leads me to Black Friday campaigns. And I think this is really important to know. It's not just about sending one big blast on Black Friday. We heard already it's like a whole Black month. It's just what happened. People love to shop and people love to check for deals all the time. So really make sure that this is something that you plan ahead. It could be about early access campaigns, maybe giving exclusive access on WhatsApp, for example, having different sales types throughout the week, maybe VIP access, loyalty rewards. So it really depends on how you want to scale your Black Friday week, but I think it's really important to understand that this is not just about one deal during Black Week, because people will shop throughout the whole month. So just keep that in mind when you're doing your campaigns. And maybe also something to test upfront is include images, don't include images, how long is the text? So make sure you find out what is the right way to communicate with your customers. We're seeing this, especially during Black Friday, sometimes less is more, like having clear guidance on how much is the discount, what's on top, what's in it for the customer, to having it as clear as possible, clear CTAs, the option to copy the code directly in the chat. So really making sure also from a consumer perspective that it's the most seamless and easy way to engage with your customers during Black Friday. But we're also going to show you a few more examples later on around campaigns. So we got you covered here. And also some examples from last year where we saw a really good conversion. You're seeing on the left-hand side, for example, carousel campaigns, always nice because it's like you're seeing posts on Instagram, right? When you swipe through and you post several pictures, that's a perfect place also to do on WhatsApp. You can show different deals, different options, what's on sale, for example, or if you have cool actions that are happening, it's always nice to show it in a carousel template, or as we're seeing on the right hand side, for example, for Dermalogica, right? Especially if you're having some staff discounts, so maybe 10% on €100 shopping value or even more. It's always nice also to have this as an image, so it's really easy to see for the customer. Or also if the discount, for example, is applied when you enter the shop or when you exit the shop, just make sure also to add this in the text so all the clients are to know what's happening and how they can get their discount. Just making it as easy as possible for everyone. But also brought you some examples from websites, because I mean, this is the most native place where your customers will be searching for deals. Make sure it's present, they have entry points. You can also have some website banners, for example, pop-up windows that could directly redirect to WhatsApp. As you see here also from Blackwell, for example, they had some secret deals. Those were only on WhatsApp. So it gives you directly the option to sign up for WhatsApp. You can directly have them in your funnel. And yeah, just making sure that it's present and everyone knows how to sign up and how to get redirected. So now we talked a bit about theory, but we also brought you some really, really winning examples from last year. And for that, I'd also be handing over to Ben.
Yeah, thanks so much, Elisa. Yeah, we're going to dive into some examples now. Moving to the next slide, we've got Vicinity. And I'll pass it back to you here in a second, but I'm curious. So they ran a really strong Black Friday campaign strategy last year. Could you walk us through what made their approach so effective?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we already talked about the importance of having multi-channel campaigns throughout Black Friday. And this is actually something that Vicinity did quite well. So they were really present on Instagram, on TikTok, on WhatsApp. It wasn't just one campaign, it was the whole month was basically buzzing. So it was different sales, different actions, some drops, for example. So they really mixed it, and yeah, it was really not always clear for everyone what's coming next, but that also sparked the interest of everyone. So this is also something that we would definitely recommend, is having a clear campaign calendar. Make sure your team knows what's happening when you're having different offers throughout the Black Week, or if it's just one offer, make sure to create some buzz around it so you don't get lost in this whole swamp of Black Friday offers, because I think that happens quite easily since there are so many options to shop. And really make sure to keep your audience engaged. That could be a bit playful with gamifications, or just being active on Instagram and creating that buzz around it, right? That doesn't have to be paid content. It can really be on your socials where you keep the engagement high, or sending different messages on WhatsApp. So really making sure you're creating that buzz around what's happening with your brand.
Yeah. I mean, I can see here also they used more channels than just one. They used Instagram, TikTok, and WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Why would you say is that multi-channel approach so important for Black Friday?
I think it's really because customers do shop on different channels. Like even TikTok launched their TikTok shop, for example. And I think our generation is very much shifting into looking for different deals on different sites. You spend time with your friends on social media. You do your research on social media from time to time. So I think it's really important to not miss this opportunity and being on different channels, being present, showing some things. And I also want to show this on the next slide, because it will give you also some information around, you can see it here on their TikTok, for example. What they did is they did some different campaigns on TikTok, and like here in the video you're seeing he's showing what's dropping next, for example. But what I also really like is that they basically showed how to sign up. So they told them, hey, go to our Insta bio, click on the link, you're being redirected to WhatsApp, just enter this, you can see it here. So really making the experience as smooth as possible, because what we also sometimes see is that customers might drop out because they don't really know where am I being redirected or what do I have to do. So this is really about making it as easy as possible. And what we also heard or saw previously is this personal touch and this kind of a bit feeling like you belong to a brand. That's definitely what they did really, really nice. And we also see it in the numbers. You can see it here. They created 1.4 million just throughout this Black month. So this is insane. It's really, really great numbers. A 51% click-through rate. This is something that many customers would dream of, to be honest. So that really shows how engaged everyone was. They were so eager to see what's happening next. And in total, they gained over 100,000 new subscribers. So that really shows how powerful social media is, and how you can gain new customers throughout that Black month.
Super cool. Yeah, very exciting results. Um, Looking at these, like, what do you think other brands can learn from Vicinity's way of keeping customers engaged all through the month?
I think it's really about, as we said, leveraging different channels and having maybe also a personal face to your brand, or having some, just look at the trends that are happening right now on TikTok, on Instagram. You don't always have to go with the trend, right? You don't have to always to reinvent the reel, as we would say in Germany. But I think it's really important to stay up to date, to be where your audience is. Make sure you check, where's my audience, what's my age, for example, and where would that audience be, and then make sure you have those channels ready, and really don't underestimate the power of social media, I would say.
Definitely. Exciting stuff.
Really exciting stuff. Super excited to see what's coming next. And now, speaking of exciting results from last year, let's also look at a strategy from last year that Snox actually invented. And this goes hand in hand with what we said previous, is that it's not just about having one big sale on Black Friday. It's really about creating that buzz around it earlier. And you can see it here from Snox, for example. They had a multi-day WhatsApp campaign that really drove the urgency and also was segmented, but I go into that in a second. What you see here, I think Black Friday was on the 29th, if I'm not wrong. And they started on the 23rd already. And this is where they started with a big sale. So you can see here, they got some extra 5% just on WhatsApp. So also something that really drives this exclusivity and urgency for a specific channel. That was a teaser. Then they had the actual sale start and same day reminder to just make sure customers might be putting something in their basket, but then they don't finish shopping. So send a reminder, and also have your abandoned cart reminders ready, because this is a perfect opportunity to collect any sale losses that you might have been facing. And then also by the end of coming up Black Friday, they did some top sellers there. So really looked into what were my top sellers and then creating that sense of urgency around it, right? They're almost sold out. Here's still your 50% plus additional 5% before they're gone. So really creating that kind of sense of urgency. And in total, they sent over 600,000 conversations throughout this little shorter week for them. And what's also nice to mention, and it's also something that I would advise you to do, is you don't always have to send every message to everyone, right? So you can also check if someone has engaged before. Did they buy something already? Then I might not be needing to send the reminder. Then I could also exclude them. So really make sure you're using that kind of segmentation. Also, if you see someone has maybe clicked the message already, then I might not need to send a reminder for it. Or if someone has bought, then I can also exclude them. And also, if you want to make sure you really engage with a smaller audience, you could also, for example, target for the engagement window. So maybe they clicked or read a message in the last 30 to 90 days or 2 to 3 months, for example, to a bit narrow down the window of people you are targeting. That's also totally possible, and also something Snox did here. And it went out, or it was very successful for them, a really successful week. And we're already excited to see what's coming up for this year. And then another example that we brought is from Levje. And they're doing, which I really like, they don't always want to jump on that Black Friday buzz, because that's also already buzzing. They're calling it conscious shopping days, which I really like. And they also start with a teaser. And what they did, and it's actually something that quite a lot of customers are doing, they're giving exclusive access via WhatsApp. So for example, here their access code was Forest, because we're conscious. And then you can get redirected to the website. You need to enter the code, and the code is also only given on WhatsApp. There's something obviously that's a bit bold, but it does create that FOMO and the urgency. And as you can see it here, it increased in the 95% increase in their subscribers. So really, really nice. And a revenue of €6 per recipient. And we've seen this before. I think the average was €3 for the last Black Friday. So for them, it was even double. So super nice. And the €88 ROAS. So really, really nice numbers. And it doesn't always have to be like you need to close the shop with a password, but it does create that kind of nice sense of urgency and that kind of exclusive feeling for a channel. And they also, again, started with a teaser, and then they had their pre-sale start and a small reminder. And different chat-ins, for example, also social media and their newsletter, which is both like very organic channels. So it doesn't always have to be like going big on social media with super big campaigns. It can also be just leveraging your organic base. So I just want to show you that both ways are possible and can be quite successful at the same time. And spinning the loop, I just want to show you a few more examples of Black Friday campaigns that we've seen last year and where we also seen some really nice results. You can see on the left-hand side another example of how it could look like if you would, for example, close the shop or have limited early access via WhatsApp. So you would get the code via WhatsApp, for example, then you can directly go to the shop and then enter the password there. Always really nice to create some urgency, and will definitely make sure to grow your subscriber base. But also giving exclusive discount codes, for example, during WhatsApp or during Black Friday on WhatsApp, better to say. And then again, for example, here if you have different discount codes depending on different shopping values, it's always super nice to have this in a visual so everyone can see it quite clearly. also different options here to have your early access, for example. And you're seeing it also here. It doesn't always have to be like a big and super long message. It can be also super simple with 2 emojis, a clear CTA, and then you're good to go. Or even having some images or different passwords, or having it a bit more playful, as we see on the top right-hand side, giving clear guidance on what's in it for the customer, up to 40% discount. You might get a present on top. So the different messages that we've seen working out quite well, and where we hopefully might see yours as examples next year. And with that being said, I did a lot of talking today. So, oh no, I do have one more slide. There we go. Even better. And that's the retain stage. And this is also what I want to point out. What's super important is not just growing your subscriber base throughout Black Friday. It's really about retaining them. And how could that look like, right? So how do you retain your customers? And it's really important to, as I said, having that personal bond with your brand. That could be by sending birthday campaigns, for example. I mean, we all love to get something for our birthday, and emails sometimes just get swamped because you might get a lot of them. But WhatsApp always, and it's always what we're seeing from customers, it's basically right where your friends' messages are. So it's always nice to get a birthday notification and maybe a little present, a little discount, for example. But again, it doesn't always have to be discount driven. It can also be just a nice recognition. Hey, happy birthday to you, for example. But it could also be replenishment reminders. If you have a product that might run out at a specific time, you can also set up different replenishment reminders. So different ways to really engage your customers beyond Black Friday and also beyond discounts. But yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing what you come up with this year for Black Friday. As I said, we're always happy to help and support if there are any questions from your side. And now this is actually finally my last slide. But now handing over to you, or handing over to Ben in case there are any questions. We're super happy to answer them. And yeah, thank you very much for your time. It was really nice having that conversation today with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Elisa. It was really great. Thanks for taking us through all that great info and the strategies and stuff. Yeah, we'll give a couple minutes here for some more questions if people have any. I saw there was one in the chat. We unfortunately had to say goodbye to Sophia. She had to run early to a different call, but there was a question in the chat for replenish win back. Is that where we are able to let customers know when a certain item is back in stock? So if they browse the site and then went to an out of stock item, even though they didn't subscribe to be notified, can it be set up like that? And Sophia responded in the chat. So thanks for your question. In order to engage with your audience, your customers have to be subscribed. You can also implement different options to subscribe via different entry points or pop-ups or thank you pages, things like this. And she linked an article there in the chat. Anything you'd like to add on that point, Elisa?
I think she perfectly mentioned it. But yes, obviously, if you need to send out, or if you want to send out a message about a reminder, they need to be signed up, similar to what you would be doing via email. There needs to be, I mean, we're in Germany, there needs to be the consent from the customer side. So definitely, yeah. But as soon as you have them in your funnel, you're free to go.
Exactly. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, if there's any more questions, yeah, can I have this presentation? Yes, absolutely. Everyone who is signed up for the webinar will receive a copy of this presentation and the recording of the webinar as well after the webinar. Cool. Okay. Fantastic. Well, I don't think there are any more questions unless they come in the next 30 seconds or so. Oh, here, one more. Is there proven increase of the conversion rate when sending a teaser one day before the Black Friday campaign is launching? You also have to add the hint of how to unsubscribe. Does this maybe have an impact on the unsubscribe rate?
During Black Friday, no, not really. Sometimes we're seeing it outside of Black Friday that if you send too many messages, sometimes that leads into a bit of an increase of the opt-out rate because some might not be interested. But for Black Friday, we haven't seen any decrease in the or increase in the opt-out rate. And especially if you're sending out a teaser, I think it always gives you a bit of an advantage because customers might know, hey, there's something coming instead of maybe shopping somewhere else.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you so much. All right, well then I think we can give everybody some time back for their hour this morning. Thank you all very much. And as I said, you'll receive the slides and the recording of this later today or tomorrow. Oh wait, sorry, one last question here. How does an average merchant attribute WhatsApp?
Where I didn't get the question.
Open or click? Like how do you how does like WhatsApp attribution work? Like in terms of attributing revenue to WhatsApp? Is it open or click based mostly?
That depends a bit on the customer, actually. So how do you do your attribution, basically? So we can trace back, basically, if you're using discount codes, for example, that can be traced back, but every attribution model from every merchant basically is different. So if you're using, for example, the Shopify integration, there's a really nice Help Center article on our Help Center that completely explains the attribution model from Shopify. But if you don't have a native integration with a shop system, it's always a bit depending on how you attribute your
Mhm.
your
Exactly.
revenue. But we also do have a Google Analytics integration, for example, so that's also a good way to track your revenue. And then you can also see, even if you don't have Shopify, you can still see your revenue data via Google
Exactly.
Analytics.
Yeah, I think there's many ways to do it there. Okay. Cool. That'll wrap us up. Thank you so much, everyone. And we keep getting questions here, but this is good. This is good. Is it okay to send direct messages via WhatsApp in terms of GDPR? I think I know the answer, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, there, Lisa. This, you do need to kind of get people to subscribe to WhatsApp first before you can send them
Yes.
a direct marketing
Yes.
message, correct? Yeah.
That's what we call a double opt-in. That's why you need to, if you redirect someone to WhatsApp, then you first need to ask like for their consent, do you actually want to sign up? And that's what we call a double opt-in. Versus when you're just sending shipping updates, for example, or order confirmation, that's what we call a single opt-in in Germany. They can also send messages even if they haven't subscribed to your channel. But yes, from a GDPR perspective, we need to get the double opt-in first, and then you are allowed to send marketing messages. So everything around campaigns, for example, that would be a marketing message, and therefore we need to have the double opt-in. And
Okay.
just I saw, just adding to the last question from Akash, we also do have UTM parameters in Charles.
Yes.
So, and to every campaign, you can link your own UTM parameters. You can use ours, or if you have your own way of attributing, then you can also use your UTMs just to add on that.
Exactly. Yeah. Lots of flexibility there. Awesome. Okay.
All right,
Well, thank you so
perfect.
much, Elisa. This was really great.
Thank
And
you.
thank you,
And thanks
everyone who
everyone for
tuned in.
joining.
Exactly. Yeah. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your Thursday.
Bye bye.